Hey ladies, give me a moment here. I want to make sure my sound is working. I'm using a different headset and um, it is, I'm not sure I can trust it. So let me just give me a moment here and then we can continue on with this. Here. Yay, okay. Now I'm gonna get off of here so I don't, there we go. Okay. Hello. Let me get my stuff back together. How are you doing today? I'm so glad you could join me here in Christian Moms Fueled by Faith. If you are new to this community, I'm Nicole Nelson. I'm a Christian life coach for moms, and I help moms faithfully follow God's purpose for their lives and avoid the distractions that come with discouragement and worry. And today's worry that we are going to deal with, today's distraction, is that question of, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? What should I be doing in the day-to-day of my motherhood? Hey there. I'm so glad you can join us, Khadija. And I'm sorry, I always feel like I'm pronouncing your name wrong, so forgive me if I am. But I'm so glad you could join me this morning. So what are we doing every day? What are we supposed to be focusing on? Are we focusing on too much, on too little? And I know this can go both ways. I know earlier on in my motherhood, I was very unfocused, and there was a lot to do with the babies, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing, if I was doing enough, if I was doing too little. I felt guilty for, I only had a couple kids. I felt guilty for the house being a mess at the end of the day and wondering, what this was supposed to look like. And then later on, having more kids and just a busier household, more activities going on, you start to wonder, am I doing too much? What do I need to get back on? I want to make sure the kids get X, Y, and Z. I'm feeling burnt out. And there's just this back and forth that happens. And the distractions can come from the guilt that you feel in the moments, because it's either you feel like something's being dropped, something is not being taken care of, because you feel like you need to do everything. And we've talked about that before. You feel like you need to do everything, and there's all this guilt that comes rushing in when you're just not able to. And this is outside of asking for help. This is just the normal day-to-day balance. So I'm looking at my notes real quick. So when there's too much to do, there's also that burnout that happens, and that can lead to resentment. I know there have been times in my life where I've looked at my husband and been like, I'm still working. Why do you get to rest? In my mind, it's that resentment that happens. We look at our kids and instead of feeling that love, it's just it's just that feeling of, oh my goodness, why are they doing this? They know they're not supposed to be doing this. And you feel resentful to your husband, to your kids, toward other people who look like they have their lives together. And it's just not very productive. It is not very uplifting. And it brings you down more and more into that spiral of discouragement. And then you just want to give up. Or you're like, what does it matter? Or you try harder and burn yourself out more. And so instead of doing that, let's look at what we're doing and answer the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing what we're doing? What's important to you? What are your values? What is it you want your children to learn? And why? It's not, just because you have to is not a good answer. Just because I have to do the dishes because I have to. It's just normally what's expected in society to keep the house clean. But no, it goes beyond that. It goes beyond just what you have to do. And you have to know and understand what your values are. You have to look at what's important to me and what do I want to focus on in this season of my life. You can have so many values, but you also need to be aware that you're not going to be able to do everything all the time. And you say, well, in this season, what am I going to focus on? And understand what are your priorities in this season. And once you know that, you're going to be able to move forward with a greater confidence in what you're doing and in what you're not doing. Because you're going to be able to say, okay, I want just something as simple as back to the dishes. I'm going to wash these dishes because as an act of love to the next person who is going to use them. And I think it's Mother Teresa who said something like that. And I don't have her quote written here. I have it on the blog post that's coming out. I have her quote, but I forget what it is off the top of my head. But what is the reason behind it? The love that you want to show to your family, the example that you want to set to your children so that they can be responsible citizens, be responsible members of the family, because you want your children to know that they are loved. And how do you show that, and why, and really think it through and make those decisions based on your values and your priorities so that you can move forward with the confidence that you need, and without being distracted with those, with wondering what's missing or I'm dropping something, because no, you're not. I'm focusing on this right now. And let's just say right now you're developing the habit of cleanliness in the home. And so it takes some time to develop habits in children. It takes some time to develop habits in yourself. And so as you're working on those habits, you might need to say, okay, we're not doing as many outside activities because we really need to work on this habit with our own family and have that figured out before we can add on those additional responsibilities, those additional privileges that come with the outside activities. And that's just an example. That's not what you necessarily have to do, but that's looking like that's, and it's something that I've had to look at in my own life. And so I just wanted to offer that as an example to you moving forward. And then there's that thing where your priorities are done and, you know, the basic tasks, the things you need to do, and there's some time to be still. There's some time for leisure. And I think in our society especially, we feel like we have to be going all the time. And we have forgotten about the importance of leisure in our lives, the importance of taking time to sit back, to do things that are relaxing and pleasurable in a good, uplifting way for ourselves and our family, that allow us and our children to relax and be creative in other avenues that don't have any specific demand, but that is able to be done out of pure joy. And a lot of this can be time for prayer. It can be a time for like a hobby. It can be a time where you're just able to sit and actually process what is going on around you. And our children need that too. Our children need that time too. I know my son, he is 6 now. One of my sons is 6, and he was telling me he's in school, and he's like, Mom, I just came upstairs to have some quiet time. I used to be able to have a lot more quiet time. He understands leisure and the importance of being able to step back and step away from the responsibilities to recuperate. Yes, I will. I will be posting a link to the blog in the go out, I think Monday or Tuesday of next week. And it's going to be, if you're on my email list, you'll get that the link to the blog tomorrow. So if you're not on the email list, let me know, and we can get you situated. And with the email list, I can also send you the 30 days of journal prompts that I have that it's just really helpful to think through a lot of these things, to be more focused, and to really move forward intentionally with where you are in life. But anyways, yeah, so keep in mind that life is a balance of the work and the leisure. And knowing what your focus is helps you really move forward, especially on days where you're feeling unmotivated. And you can say, okay, I just need to get X, Y, and Z done. And then I will know that my main bases are covered, if you will. I will know that I've still been true to my priorities, and then I've allowed myself to rest, and taking that time to rest. But then there's that added issue of plans don't always go as planned, and that can be excessively frustrating when you're like, okay, I'm focused, I'm moving forward, and now what? Lord, my plans are wrecked. I am, I thought this is what you wanted me to do. I thought this is what you wanted me to focus on. And now there's been a wrench thrown into my plans, and I don't know what to do about this. And you start getting frustrated and flustered and unfocused again. And the thing is, when in those situations, the big thing is to trust God. Everything that happens for a purpose. I don't think there's such a thing as coincidence. I don't believe that, things just randomly happen. So when you take the time to look at it as, even the unplanned things that come up are a part of God's will. When you look at it in that way, you can say, okay, Lord, how are you asking me to move forward with my day, even with this change in plans? We want to, remain on task. We want to feel like we've got it all under control. But then what the reality is, we don't have it under control at all. It's a pretense. It's a mirage. It's a feeling. And really the only one who does have it under control is God. And when we allow him, we say, okay, Lord, my plans have changed. I'm giving this to you. Help me to continue to move forward in your call for this moment. And then just take it moment by moment. You can still have those, those priorities and those focuses in the back of your mind for the day. But just knowing that, it might not look exactly like normal, but that doesn't mean it can't be good. Doesn't mean it can't be fruitful. And just keeping in mind the whys behind what your priorities are, and saying, okay, why is this my focus? Okay, how can I love my family in this moment? And a lot of times I know it's so easy to allow that frustration to come out into your children, right? Everyone's behind. Let's get moving. So you start yelling. Everyone gets frustrated. There's crying, there's yelling, there's all this stuff. But instead of reacting to those change of plans, choosing instead to love with your words, despite the change in plans, despite the uncertainty, and to love your children well by your actions and your words, and show them that example of what that looks like, because I know I am so guilty of this. And I've seen it acted out into my children when they get frustrated, their response to their siblings. And I'm like, okay, this needs to stop. I have a choice to make. I can react and yell at them when I'm feeling out of control or when my world feels out of control, or I can show them what it looks like to move forward with confidence, even when things don't go as I wanted them to. So again, keep in mind why you're doing it. What are you trying to instill in your family? What are you trying to grow in yourself? What virtues are you trying to grow and deepen? How are you trying to grow in relationship with our Lord? How is it that our Lord would act in those moments? And yes, he was perfect, but we are called to imitate him. So use this, use your why, use this underlying reason for doing what you're doing to motivate you on the days you're feeling unmotivated, and to encourage you when you're feeling anxious and uptight to do God's will in the moment and imitating him even when things don't go as planned. So I hope you find that helpful. And again, there will be the blog post on this subject next week. And in the meantime, I have a special request for you. As I was preparing for this topic today, I realized that I'm struggling with this very thing in my own life. Not so much in the direct area that I'm speaking about today, but how it relates as a whole, like with my business, with ministering to you all, and moving forward, even when I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. When I don't know how I'm touching people, when I don't know, when I'm just uncertain about the results my actions are producing, and trusting God with that, trusting God with where he's leading me in this business. And so my request for you is that if this has helped you in any way, just share it, to invite people to this community. If you're watching the YouTube video, to share it with others. And if you feel like this is something that is important and that other moms need to listen to or read, if it's the blog, or have the community support in the group, I invite you and I encourage you to invite them in to this community in one way or another, the YouTube, the blog, or the Facebook group, because I know that it's the devil speaking to me, and you know that we're doing something important, that God is doing something great here, that our Lord wants us as moms to just know and see his love and his presence in our lives in so many ways. And we have such an important role as mothers in sharing this with our children, with our families. And so I ask for your help, because I know that this is what God has called me to minister to you all, to encourage other moms, and to provide for my family. And you all have been amazing and supportive. And so I'm asking this favor to continue to help me in this quest, in this mission, and share the love and get the word out. So anyways, thank you so much for your help, for your love, for your support. And I'll see you in the group next week. Have a great day.